What did the Hephaestus key hide about Rapture's engineered collapse? Its gears still turn beneath the waves, stop the fall, silent witnesses to utopia's rot. A bathysphere descends, lights flicker. Key hide audio about static Rapture's whispers. Rapture was built to endure, but not to change. Andrew Ryan's objectivist dream, 1946, now hinged on a key that granted access, but couldn't stop the fall. Ryan's Rapture was final diary built to endure whispers. The key was never about power, it was about control. His autarky, fractured by Fontaine's smuggling, became a cage. The Hephaestus key, guardian of Rapture's geothermal veins, could not stop the rot. When Atlas splicers rose in '58, the war wasn't just ideological, it was mechanical. Sabotage, subtle and systemic, choked the plant's arteries. The key turned no more. What dies first, freedom or the lie that freedom could be engineered? Bill McDonough's team carved the geothermal key with precision. Each glyph etched into its surface was a command, a failsafe for Hephaestus, but the failsafe was the flaw. Suchung's lab refined atom, Fink's distillery brewed vigor. Both relied on the key's steady pulse. Yet its protocols were poorhouse deliberate oversight or miscalculation. No records confirm, only the machinery remembers. The key's code allowed access to regulate output, but not to lock it down. A vulnerability, not a feature. Tenenbaum's little sisters harvested atom in the shadows. Their work sustained Rapture's hunger, yet the key's weakness went unaddressed. Why did McDonough foresee the collapse, or was this a chain reaction of smaller fractures? The blueprints show no warning. The geothermal core burned hotter as splicers multiplied. The key turned, but the system bled. Fink's distillery siphoned energy to sustain order until the siphons clogged. No one questioned the key's silence. It was a tool, not a witness. Yet its design allowed the fall to accelerate. Sabotage or inevitability. The plant's arteries hardened, the key's glow dimmed. Freedom or the Luhat withered first. The answer lies in the code that never locked. The code that never locked was not a flaw, it was a fracture. The Hephaestus key was never a lock, it was a valve. Fontaine's hands wormed through its circuits, bleeding geothermal fire into atom false sun. Tenenbaum's daughters, Suchung's harvest every drop paid in kilowatts stolen from Rapture's pulse. Ryan's machines hummed for autarky. Fontaine's shadows hummed for profit. The key's gears turned both ways. One direction built a city. The other starved it. The grid's heartbeat became a hostage. Splicers gnawed at conduits, not from rage, but hunger. The little sisters' chains were not just moral, they were mechanical. Atom glow dimmed as the core's heat bled dry. Ryan's speeches could not warm a freezing deep. Fontaine's ledgers could not count the cost of what? Fontaine's ledgers could not count the cost of what does a city, built on fire, owe to the hands that steal its flame. The key's final act was not sabotage, it was surrender. A system cannot survive when its lifeblood is bartered in back alleys. The Hephaestus key watched as Rapture's lights failed not with a scream, but a sigh. The silence after was not peace, it was arithmetic. The key did not choose its keepers. McDonough's engineers forged it to serve greed, their blueprints etched with shortcuts. Fontaine's spies stole it to traffic secrets, bartering Rapture's pulse for coin. Both called it a tool. Atlas called it a weapon. The rebels knew what the engineers ignored. Geothermal grids are not monoliths. They are lattices, weak points, fuses. The key's teeth fit not just locks, but the fractures between. When Fontaine emerged from his coffin in '58, he did not bring splicers. He brought thermodynamics. They did not attack the city, they unmade its arithmetic. Substations bled pressure, turbines choked on their own steam. The key's final turn was not to open but to unthread. Ryan's dream died not in war, but in the quiet calculus of failed dynamos. What did the key witness? The same thing every cog sees, betrayal. McDonough sold stability for profit. Fontaine sold profit for power. Atlas sold both for vengeance. The geothermal key was never a relic, it was a ledger. Each hand that bore it wrote a line in Rapture's obituary. The silence after the lights failed was not peace, it was the sum of their debts. The key's last act was not to unlock, it was to subtract. One equation, one explosion. One city erased from the equations of the living. The key's design allowed access, not to power but to vulnerability. When Atlas Revolt began in 1958, saboteurs turned its equations into a fuse. What if Rapture's fall wasn't chaos? It was a locked equation, waiting for the right hands to subtract the world. The key's cold iron yawned open Rapture's throat. No vault held deeper truths than the power plant's rusted ribs. Beneath its gears, objectivism's creed curdled into a fable of hubris, a city built on equations, not men. Andrew Ryan's hymn to perfection carved its own epitaph in geothermal veins. The key's vulnerability was no accident, it was a mirror. A system designed to exclude weakness became a monument to it. Steel could not cage the rod of human hands. What did the key know? That every valve and conduit was a verse in a psalm of self-destruction. That Rapture's engines humming with Ayn Rand's name masked a silence, the absence of grace, the refusal to bend, the fatal arithmetic of zero-sum faith. The plant did not fail, it fulfilled. A prophecy written in steam, in the blind faith that fire could burn without shadow. The key's final act was not sabotage, but testimony. It bore witness to a truth Ryan could not unbuild. Utopias drown when their architects forget the weight of their own breath. Rapture's fall was not chaos. It was the sum of a single, unyielding equation. Perfection minus humanity equals ruin. The key turned no locks, it opened no secrets. It only waited in the dark to become the last relic of an idea that drowned itself. The air in Minerva's den clings like rust. Charles Porter's thinker still breathes through fractured vents, its core a dying pulse of copper and regret. The Hephaestus key lies half buried in silt, its geothermal circuits thrumming a dirge faint for human ears, but not for the splicers who crawl past it, their eyes reflecting the machine's last gasp. Did it feel the tremors when the water heaters failed? The thinker's logs are ash, but its wiring map still twists through Rapture's veins, a ghost grid carrying the weight of severed power. The key's teeth are worn from turning in phantom locks, each rotation a silent witness to the city's choked final breath. The hum deepens. A flicker of blue light dances in the den's shadows. Porter's code, maybe, or the memory of a hand that once built hope, now buried under layers of salt and surrender. The key does not weep, it does not need to. The machinery's grief is louder than any scream. The Hephaestus key was never just metal. It was a covenant faith in reason, forged into copper. Rapture's engineers built it to liberate, yet its gears demanded obedience, a paradox in every bolt. The city's lifeblood ran through its veins, yet the key's design excluded the very chaos it claimed to reject. Freedom caged by precision, salvation became a gilded noose. The plant's walls, meant to shield from weakness, amplified the rot within. Every circuit hummed with the weight of unyielding ideals. No data was buried in its core, no betrayal. Only the quiet truth: systems starve when they cannot adapt. The key turned, but only toward ruin. Rapture's final breath was not fire, it was the slow exhale of machinery left to die. The key's silence outlasted its makers, a monument to hubris. What does a civilization built on reason learn when its heart stops? That logic cannot breathe without compromise. That even gods need grace, the key remains, a relic of a world that chose perfection over survival. Its silence is not peace, it is the echo of a promise broken. Rapture's epitaph is written in the dark. The key does not judge, it simply remembers and waits. 199 words. Deep in Rapture's bowels, the Hephaestus key thrums. A relic of geothermal might, its brass groans with the weight of 1,000 sabotage scars. The Ludes field's pulse once hummed through its veins, bridging worlds even as Rapture's foundations cracked. What equations, what fractures did it encode? A silent architect in a city of lies. The key does not burn, it simmers, and in Columbia's